Hello and welcome to Soccer IQ TV, the Shutout Pizza Files. I'm Dan Blank, college soccer coach and author of the Soccer IQ series of books. Today we're going to look at a goal that I'm really excited to dissect because it's a pretty common goal, and the situation always seems to put defenders in a kind of a difficult situation. This is from a Division I women's college soccer game, and I think this is a goal that a lot of teams can learn a lot from. So happy to have you with me, and let's go ahead and take a look at that goal. Okay, so the team in white is attacking that goal that's in the picture, and we're going to see a ball go out of bounds, and this is all going to start with a throw-in. And off the throw-in pretty quickly, what we're going to see, and you see how deep this throw-in starts, we're going to see one negative ball, and then a second negative ball. Then there's this phenomenal service in behind, perfectly weighted, perfectly bent, and the attacker is in behind the defense, one-on-one with the goalkeeper. So that's the goal in a nutshell. Let's go back and break it down now. Okay, so we start with the throw-in. That's the first negative ball. Now we have a second negative ball. We see the red team stepping up, and right here is kind of where we have to realize that the next thing that's going to happen is going to be the big serve. So at this point, we've got to adjust from just stepping up to now, all right, there's going to be a service, likely going to be over our head. We need to start thinking about dropping off and protecting the space in behind the defense and in front of the goalkeeper. And in these situations, the highest player typically isn't the most dangerous player. It's a player coming from a lower position, as you see here, and she just, nobody seems to notice her, and she slides in behind everybody for the pretty easy finish there. So on this negative pass before service, is there any doubt what the player approaching the ball is going to do? And the simple answer is no. I mean, she's running up. It looks a bit like a game of kickball, and I don't mean that disparagingly, where the pitcher just rolls it in and you run up and you're going to thump it. That's the thing that a clever defender needs to be able to, actually it's the thing that any defender needs to be able to figure out if you're going to have a solid defense. You have to be able to read service, and there is no really easier service to read than something like this, and it's pretty easy to read what's going to happen next. All right, and once you read that, you have to be able to make the adjustment. The reason we push forward on the negative ball is to move the higher attackers away from the goal. In a situation like this, we have to be prepared to go to plan B, and plan B is, all right, put on the brakes and drop off because we know what's coming next. And as I said earlier, most of the time it's not the highest attacker who's going to be the threat in this situation, because that attacker is going to be moving away from the goal to stay onside. The biggest threat is going to come from a player who is advancing from a lower position, somebody who's in a better spot to beat the offside line. And that's what we have here, right? So we see that player, the attacker on white, kind of the left wing there. And the first problem for the red team is the defender who's closest to her is caught wide of her. So that's one problem. But the bigger issue here is, as you see, that the two highest attackers, it looks like say a center forward and a right wing for the white team, they're moving back towards their own end of the field because the offside line is moving in that direction. But that left wing, she realizes she's still in an onside position, and she just kind of sits there, doesn't really do much. She just lets everybody on the defending team just ignore her, and then she just drifts in behind with the service, and that's what puts her in such a great position. So she's the player coming from a lower position, and again, in situations like this, that's typically going to be the most dangerous player. This is something you'll see a lot on set pieces, particularly corner kicks. All right, you'll see the player on the ball in the corner just drop like a 30, 35-yard pass to, typically it's the outside back. And the whole purpose of that is to set up a goal just like this, to get the defending team moving out away from their goal, and then to drop a ball in behind them that's intended for somebody who starts from a lower position and beats the offside line. So we have to be able to read service and protect that space that's behind the defense and in front of the goalkeeper. And to be fair, the execution of this particular goal was fantastic. That service is top shelf. You can't ask for a better service in this situation. And she put her teammate in alone on goal with a fantastic ball, perfectly weighted. And thankfully for her, her teammate took care of the semi-easy part of getting control of the ball and potting it in the goal. One more thing I want to add here. This is not something that solely happens in the final third of the field or your defensive third of the field. A lot of goals are created from the middle third or even the opposition's defensive third with a ball like this that just goes over the top of everybody, right? So if our defenders aren't able to read service and somebody just pushes a ball 5 yards back to a teammate who can lump it over our line of defenders who are standing at midfield, then all of a sudden it's a foot race in at goal. One of the reasons I said that this was a pretty easy service to read was just the pure length of that negative pass that went back to the server. You have a lot of time to read that pass. A lot of times when things are going on in the middle third of the field, it's not a 15-yard negative pass. A lot of times it's a 3, 4, 5-yard negative pass that sets somebody up to just lump one over the top of the defense. So defenders have to be able to read that and realize, oh, this is kind of like a kickball position. This is something that this player is going to be very capable of lumping over the top of us, so we need to be ready to retreat. So reading service, incredibly important for your line of defenders, and the failure to be able to read service is going to add up to some headaches for you as their coach. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Shutout Pizza. I'm Dan Blank, and I look forward to seeing you next time.